For this reason, the Black Lives Matter movement is an attempt to address this absence of consciousness that has seeped from the history of slavery into contemporary life. For example, a statement was sent to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on July 15, 2016, stating that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization and should be treated as such. Well, let me educate America. At least 2 million Africans, 10 to 15%, died during the infamous Middle Passage. Another 15 to 30% died during the march along the coast. Altogether, for every 100 slaves who reached the New World, another 40 had died in Africa or during the Middle Passage. An estimated 60 million Africans were killed as a result of Christian imperialism via the Atlantic slave trade, slave raids in Africa, and coastal slave markets. In addition, the current birth rate for blacks in the U.S. is 14.5 for every 1,000 persons. To sum it up, 60 million Africans were killed. The current birth rate is 14.5. There's been 7 generations of Africans since the end of slavery. This means that an estimated 60,900,000 Africans were never even born as a result of slavery. This, my friends, is why Black Lives Matter, because of the millions that never existed. Now, add to that number the lives of people like Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and Eric Garner, who were murdered under the same state-sanctioned law that murdered millions of innocent slaves. I've learned that a crime of a black man anywhere is a sentence to a black man everywhere. It is because one black life matters that all black lives matter. Second, the black man today is still enslaved to the slavery of his past. Africans arrived sick, naked, and with no material possession. 12 million Africans, 27,000 slave ships traveled across the Atlantic. Why is this important? It is important because if we can endure traveling thousands of miles without a pen to our name or an item of clothing, if we can endure being chained to a ship flooded with vomit and blood, if we can endure a constitution that refuses to acknowledge our very existence, then I promise you, we will overcome our current crisis through our education. We are not Africans because we were born in Africa. We are Africans because Africa was born in us. In correlation, slaves were not allowed to learn how to read or write. This means thousands of slaves could not attain the economic prosperity and wealth that are earned through education. The black life didn't matter. We only worked to please our master, but never learned to please ourselves. The South prohibited slaves from having a job, obtaining an education, buying and selling a property, and having a home. Slavery broke up black families in the name of building the economy. Now, translate that to present day. The black man is still a slave to the world that made him one. Let's look at the facts. The U.S. Department of Justice reported that the black male has a 29% chance to be incarcerated in his lifetime, while the white male has a 4% chance. The U.S. Department of Commerce reported that the black male has a 34% chance to obtain a college education, while the white male has a 62% chance. Don't you see? Black education is proportional to black incarceration. The power of the enslaved black man is through his education, but the spirit that bonds him to his enslavement is his lack of education. Education provides a path to higher economic status, a stable household, a hope for a future, and liberty from the past. For this reason, the black man has never been free. Our only education came from the slave. A slave thinks only how to survive, but a master thinks of how to conquer. As blacks, when we conquer through education, we decide the laws, we run the courts, we govern the country, and we make America great again. Until we change from our slave ways and learn the master's traits, we will not have dominion over our own history. Third, this letter will describe the value of the black life through education. Black lives matter in the past, black lives matter in the present, black lives matter in the future. The difference between a slave and his master is knowledge, because knowledge is power. There's a reason for this, because the more the black man becomes educated, the more power he has within himself, the more dominion he has over others, and he will become free from his enslaved state of mind. I myself was once a slave to my own mind. My principal tried to put me in special education because I had a speech impediment. He felt that somehow the words from my mouth affected my neurological brain cells. I was defined as the other and was ridiculed and mocked by my white peers. That is an example of how a man can hinder a black person, hinder black progress, hinder black education. However, look at what God has done for me in my life. I graduated from that same predominantly white high school as the highest ranked male in my graduating class, and graduated as the highest African American in my school's 115 years of existence. I have come to Prairie View and earned a 4.0 GPA. I am in the honors program, and I am standing on this stage speaking in front of you without any fear because of the history that made me. In the same way, the time is now for the African to rise from the shoulders of our ancestors and to live through the history that made us. Instead of living by the hand that feeds us, let's feast off the history that made us. My principal tried to keep me down, but like my ancestors, still I rise. In conclusion, as Dr. Maya Angelou says in her poem, Still I Rise, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bury the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Now, can everyone in this room please rise to your feet? So you see, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere around you, the black legacy has risen. Your future has risen. Your past has risen. Your present has risen. The whole world will know that the dead slave has now risen to his feet today. The cost of living through education's future is greater than the price of dying to slavery's past. Together, the black and the white man will live in harmony and rise through our education and become authors of our own history. Sincerely, every African, everywhere.